Have you ever imagined waking up for work and not dragging the day ahead? Imagine having a stable monthly income while you just work 3 to 4 hours a day. I know it sounds too good to be true, but that's actually my reality. And no, it's not because I'm a lazy employee and slacking off at work. In fact, I'm exactly the opposite. I'm excelling at my job. And I achieve this through 3 powerful questions that I started to ask myself at work. And if you start asking these same questions, this will be your reality. Have you ever experienced this? You opened up your old work and start to wondering, how did you even come up with this? Or maybe your colleague asked you to explain your work and you realize you had no idea at all. This is actually a really common problem in the workplace. We often assume that once something is done, it's done forever. You don't have to revisit it again. But then you need to update your report, explain to your clients, and even hand over the work to your colleague. Suddenly you're trying to remember your whole thought process from weeks or months ago. Sometimes figuring it out is quite quick, but sometimes it takes hours, and that is really frustrating. So the first questions I always ask myself is, how can I make it easy for others and future me to understand my work? Because once I took over a task that had not been finished for over 1 year, when I opened my colleague's file, I was totally lost. I had to ask him, and it took him an entire afternoon to figure out his thought process and explain it to me. Finding old information can be painfully slow, and it is so time consuming. So after I asked this question at my work, I start to writing some short notes to explain my thinking clearly. It can be things like why I made this choice, why I've made these decisions, why this formula is different from the others, or even just some important points to keep in mind. And I've actually received compliments about how easy my work is to follow and understand. They don't have to keep asking me questions because everything is just there. I start doing this because honestly, I really hate being interrupted during work, and especially explain something that I've done ages ago. And by doing this, you will naturally start leaving some helpful notes that make your work crystal clear to anyone who looks at it later. And the most important thing is you won't waste your time to try to remember the things that you've done ages ago, and you need to piece everything back together. Let me ask you a question. When you get instructed a new task, what is your first move? Do you jump right into it, or you actually take some time to plan the thing first? While a lot of people are trying to be quick and efficient, but most people don't actually take the most efficient approach at work. And I hope that you are the person that will take the most efficient approach. So this point is for you. There's actually a study showing that how initial task planning will affect the efficiency of someone to complete the task. The participants had to complete the task with or without planning. The results show that making a solid plan upfront made people complete their task way faster and much more efficient. It is much better when people have a clear plan laid out with the key steps. When I first started working, I would dive into the task immediately without any plans because I want to finish it as soon as possible. And this caused a very frustrating problem. I would realize halfway through that's actually a better way to complete the task. That's actually a faster way to finish the task. My boss picked up on that, and he gave me a very valuable advice that is always plan before you start. So I learned to control my urge to rush in, and now I always take time to plan before start working. And this simple change actually made a huge difference in how I work. And now I even go further. Before starting to work on a task, I would ask myself, what's the fastest and most efficient way to get this task done? You might not believe that simply asking these questions can help you to find a better way and the most efficient way, but that's actually backed by science. Have you ever heard of the red car theory? This is the idea that when you start thinking and focus on red car, you will suddenly start seeing them everywhere. Even if you are not consciously thinking about the red car, your subconscious mind is actually picking up on the information. That's why you will start to see the red car everywhere. So when you ask yourself what will be the fastest and most efficient way to complete the task, your mind will naturally look for smarter, faster, and even more creative ways for you to finish your task. But just a quick side note is, you might think that getting things done quickly means you will have mistakes. But actually no, there is no direct linkage between these two. You can work quickly and efficiently while staying focused and avoid any errors. So before you start to work on a task, keep this question in mind. What is the fastest and most efficient way for you to finish this task? Then let us jump to the final question. One common mistake that people made when receiving a task is not knowing what exactly needs to be delivered. And that's often why we get stuck and derailed halfway through the task. It's not just we rush into the task, but also we do not have the clear picture of what is the outcome of the task. We are not sure what will be the final results look like. And just let me give you an example. Let's say my boss asks me to work on a tender analysis. A tender analysis is comparing different quotations from different suppliers and which ones is the best for the job. It's like you comparing quotations from different contractors and company to renovate your house. While right now I understand what tender analysis actually is, I might not know what exactly my boss expects to see at the end. So without this clarity, I feel confused and even don't know where to begin with. That's why I always ask myself, what is the desired outcome of the task? So using the same example, I realized that I need a table to compare the cost of different specific items, for example, comparing doors from different suppliers. I would also need to include a percentage difference to show that how much they vary from each others in terms of their price. And I would also need to create a separate table to see if they have excluded anything from their quotes, because this is a flag to my clients. Once I know what the final results actually look like, how many tables do I need, what do I need, it's like I already get the recipe, and the next step is I just have to pick the ingredients and work on the task. And this actually backed by research as well. Studies have shown that setting clear goals will increase your commitment to the task and help you get started faster. Also reduce the chance of getting lost halfway through the task. So before you start any task, ask yourself, how can I make it easy for others or future me to understand my work? What is the quickest and most efficient way to finish this task? What is the desired outcome of the task? After asking yourself these 3 questions, working 3 hours a day will not be a dream, it will be your reality. If you found at least one question is useful, could you please do me a favor? Like this video and consider subscribe to my channel if you would like more productivity tips to build a life that you love. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!